Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 47, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I am a transgender and bisexual woman, and my pronouns are she, her. Joining me for this week's episode is Zoe Straw. Zoe Straw is a trans woman and game developer whose pronouns are she, her. Hi, Zoe. How's your summer been?
It's been great. It's about to get very different, but I've been having a fun time. And now I'm losing my mind because I'm pre-GRS by 4 days, so thanks for having me on as a distraction.
Oh, I remember the 4 days before. I was very stressed, but thankfully 4 days before, exactly 4 days, maybe 5 days before my surgery, a new Pokemon game had come out. So I had the best possible distraction at the time.
There's a couple different games that get their hooks into my autistic brain real good. And so I started playing Moonlighter and I'm just like, I got through the first hump and I'm just like, oh yeah, I can get so much money from these things. And I'm basically just trying to distract myself with games that have number go up real good.
And also joining us for this week's episode is Betsy, who also works for the same development studio as Zoe. Betsy's role is that of a user interface and user experience artist. Betsy is a lesbian and her pronouns are she, her. Welcome, Betsy. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad we could set this up. I know it was a little touch and go there, a little bumpy. July was very busy for me, so there were a couple times I didn't respond immediately, and I've made that mistake with other guests before, so thank you for hanging in there.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I understand completely, and I'm pretty much the same, so that's okay. It feels like home, honestly.
All right, so thankfully, news this week has been much slower than the previous, literally the entire year. So there's only a few headlines. Sony might or might not be exiting the console business. Rumors about why the original Dragon Age games aren't getting remastered. There was also a small batch of layoffs, and we actually do have one big news story, and that's a huge series of updates on the payment processor video game censorship situation. So the stuff we've been following with PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Steam censorship, itch.io, however you pronounce it. We'll get Zoe and Betsy's takes on that. And then, of course, we'll also be discussing what we've been playing, and we'll finish the episode with Queer Game of the Week. Before we jump into all of that, I have a few quick favors to ask of you, True Avatars. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement like ratings, comments, and reviews helps to grow the podcast, and a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more podcast episodes and more growth and more happiness. So please go leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform.
Also, it's just like Balatro.
Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube at True Avatars, and you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com, no spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I aim to bring you news, interviews, and up-to-date discussions that are relevant to queer gamers, so you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2S LGBTQIA+ lens. Alright, so, Betsy, what have you been playing?
Right now, I've been playing a lot of Hotel Galactic. It's a game that actually was sold in a bundle with our game that we work on with Zoe, Aloft.
Oh, you've actually been playing it. Oh, okay. Sorry, continue, but there's an anecdote here.
So they had a very rough start because the game was broken, and I mean, beyond playing, the game was broken and so full of bugs. It was very hard for them for the first couple of weeks. Now it started to get way better and way more easier to play, but there are still a lot of bugs here and there. But it's still very nice, I played I think more than 24 hours, even with all the bugs and everything. But yeah, I mean, they really work hard on it, and I think it's cool.
So that came out less than a month ago. So they've improved the stability that much in a few weeks.
Oh, definitely, they've been working their ass off. At some point we had an update on the Saturday afternoon, and I was like, guys, I understand this is important. I understand you guys they kind of fuck it up. I mean, definitely, you don't release a game that bugged if you don't have if you didn't screwed up at some point. But I mean, they really were committed to make it better. So this is some type of quality in game industry that we should value, and we should have each other's back. And that's what I did by trying to send my own save file, recording my own bugs, try to make it work. Sorry, that was my cat. So yes, I mean, I wish them luck, and I definitely, I will continue playing because it's actually a very fun game.
Can you remind me what the episode, not the episode title, the game title is?
Sorry?
Can you repeat what the game title was? I think I missed it when you first said it.
Sorry, it's Hotel Galactic. It's like a cozy hotel management. It's also on floating islands, so it's still, like very in touch with Aloft. That's why we made the bundle when they released the game. And it's very, like Ghibli coded with the graphics and the little creatures. And one of the characters is also speaking, like the Animal Crossing like. But one of the characters, Porn, is so cute when he speaks, and I'm like, he looks like a cat, and I'm like, he's my son now. I will protect him.
Zoe, you said you had an anecdote about this?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been doing at our studio, wait, Betsy, am I allowed to talk about this?
I'm not too sure, but let's just say that
I guess because of this, we know that that's not what we're making, right? So this is one that we can say.
Yeah, definitely.
So like our studio's game did pretty well, and it's continuing to do well. So like one of the things that we're talking about at our studio is our next game. So I have to talk around certain things, but long story short, we've been doing lots of different game pitches. Everyone's been coming up with game ideas. People have been talking about game ideas. It's really fun and exciting because, people who work in games have game ideas. So one of the things that we did was like everyone did like a 15-minute pitch to our CEO and like to the whole team about like what our next game can be. And me and Betsy worked on a pitch for basically this game. We didn't know that this game existed, but like, we're like, okay, well, it's a cozy game. It takes place in like a world of the sky. And I don't remember whose idea it was, but we were like, what about a game where you're running a tavern/inn that's on like a sky ship, And it's like, I think our idea was that it was isometric, but we actually like came up with a whole pitch for this. We like, we did mock-ups of what the game would look like. We came up with all of the mechanics and progression systems. We actually came up with a cool idea for a progression system that wasn't just based on making money. We wanted to be like, how do you run a business in a world where there's no money? So basically like, yeah, so we pitched all of that and it's, all the systems and everything. And then it was one of the ideas that our boss Menu really liked, I think. But then I think this is how Betsy heard about it. Was like a couple of weeks ago, Menu was just like, oh, by the way, this game exists and it's just the thing that you guys pitched.
Yes, actually, yeah, the idea was not, one of the finalists of the list because there were a lot of games that were in cozy tavern management stuff, and the time that we actually finished it, probably some of the game would have already come out and becoming iconic, and they are right. So we decided to not go on this particular tangent. But I mean, Hotel Galactic is actually a very fun game, and I think in the old tavern management type of stuff that I see and that I actually played, Hotel Galactic is the one that definitely got my heart right now. So I definitely support them.
It's wild that this team stole our idea and then went back in time several years to develop a game about it.
Exactly, that's definitely time traveler. Always them.
How do you know it's not you guys that go back in time in the future to make this game?
Oh no.
Oh, don't do that to me.
She got me.
I don't know. Is it who's Schmoey Schma? That's the lead developer. What?
So, Zoe, back to what we've been playing too for you. You said you've been playing Moonlighter and maybe one other game while you've been distracting yourself before your surgery.
I'm playing a lot of games. So I'm playing Moonlighter, which is really fun. It reminds me a lot of this game called Racketeer, which was like a lot more obscure, but it was basically like, you're like a cute anime girl and you have to run an item shop for an RPG, and it doesn't have as much of the dungeon crawling mechanic. It's mostly just the shop. And so Moonlighter is like a refined version of that, where you've got like the kind of like, hey, you're running the shop and then you're doing the dungeons, and the two kind of cycle into one another. I've also been playing through Final Fantasy IX with my girlfriend. It's her favorite game, and we are getting near the end of the second disc, I think, or like halfway through the second disc. which is really good. And I'm thinking that the game is about to open up. Gosh, what else have I been playing? I got back into Diablo 4 a little bit because I just wanted some number go up, but that was, it's fine. Like halfway through the first Mass Effect. I keep starting games because I'm trying to find stuff to just get its hooks in me because I'm like desperately in need of distraction. So I'm trying a lot of RPGs where I'm like, I need an RPG with like really addictive systems that are like, I'll be like, oh my God, I can chain these things together and then, it's exponential. I'm doing so much damage. I need that to be happening in my brain. And then that'll just carry me through the next few days while I lose my mind over pre-surgery stuff.
We should play Diablo 4 together at some point.
Yeah, we should. I have it on Game Pass, but I think it supports multiplat. I'm not sure.
It supports. If I play with some friends that play on PS5. So yeah, we definitely can.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be stuck inside. I'm going to have lots of time to play games. I'm playing lots of stuff right now. My girlfriend just started the Blueprints, which I felt... oh my gosh, I felt so silly where I was like, wait a second, the Blueprints. Blueprints! It's a game about blueprints! And it's like, I've been hearing about this game for like a month and a half before I made that connection.
It's okay. It took me a while to make that connection. I think I made it while I was recording the podcast, and I was like, "Oh, blueprints, like the design of a okay, yeah." Mm-hmm. I felt silly as well. Don't worry.
I was like most of the way through the third Star Wars prequel before I realized, oh, Palpatine is the Emperor.
Well, I can't talk too much about what I've been playing just because I'm going to do a review episode on it, so I don't want to spoil too much about what I'm going to say there, and I want to finish the game first before I give my full thoughts. But if you want a good queer kind of RPG that I've been playing, I'm reviewing a game right now called Matchmaker Dungeon Heart. I talked about it back in episode, I want to say 37, but I'm not sure if that number is correct. But it's a visual novel RPG mashed up with basically what's Patapon or Puzzle League from the 90s. So it's like a match 3 kind of game, but like it's with battles instead of just like when you look at it, it almost looks like a mobile game. But once you get into it, it's like super queer, really good storytelling, and like a really cool like progression system. So if you're looking for something, you can pick up that, or you can wait for my review this week when I get that out there, but it's really fun. I've also been playing a game called Donkey Kong Bonanza for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I really just like punching things and feeling the HD rumble as I break shit, basically. So...
I also, excuse me, I just got the blueprint. I just got the pun in my head. It just clicked in my head.
That's okay. You're a francophone. It's your second language. You get a buffer.
Definitely, like the slowpoke.
I'm sure if you told me some French puns, I'd just be looking at you like a deer in the headlights.
But yes, I played the game Dead Tech. It's about it's like a walking simulator horror, like a little bit like mouth washing, but it's about an actor that wants a role very badly, but his best friend got the role, and so he's going to the mansion of the big badass producer that is actually a little bit of a freak, and it's actually with the it's also FMV kind of, and the main character is played by Neil Newborn, the dude that did Asterion in Baldur's Gate 3.
What's the game called again?
Dead Take. So, and Ben Starr is playing his best friend. He's the dude that recently he did Verso in Expedition 33. But yes, I mean, the very, very nice game, like 5 to 6 hours, it's a walking simulator, so it's not very long. It's not very expensive, and I actually had a fun time. I think the story was very good. And yes, I mean, it was what I wanted from a walking simulator about actors, and I got served, so definitely will recommend.
The thing that intrigues me is that you say it's like mouthwashing.
Yeah, because like walking simulator with horror vibes, there is not as much. Oh no, there is puzzles. That's my. No, there is a lot of puzzles you have to solve to be able to progress, and understand what you've done, what you did, what you're about to do, what you must do. And Neil Newborn is absolutely fantastic, but I mean, that's Neil Newborn. He's good at everything he does, so...
That's awesome. So just for listeners who've been paying attention here, we've been talking about games like Hotel Galactic, Racketeer, Dead Take. We talked about Moonlighter and Final Fantasy IX, I think. And then I also covered Matchmaker Dungeon Heart, which I'll be doing a review on this week. And we also discussed Donkey Kong Bonanza super briefly. All right. Shall we jump into the news?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay, so first news story here is kind of speculative because Sony was very vague about this, but basically the implication here is that Sony might be shifting from hardware to software. So apparently 60% of Sony's revenue is games, quote, pictures, and music. So they are shifting away from hardware to focus on stuff related to, again, quote, creation. And so when they say pictures, I think they mean like photography. They said pictures in the translation that came from Genki on Twitter.
Sony Pictures is the name of their film production company.
Correct. Yeah. And they also own a bunch of subsidiaries through there. Actually, they got into the production business through Columbia Pictures when they bought that, I think in the, I want to say early 90s.
And wait, did they own Columbia?
Folded that. Yeah. In fact, the recent Spider-Man movies actually start with the Sony Pictures logo, and then a light pops out of the O, and then it fades into the woman holding the Statue of Liberty person kind of. So Sony's, and I think they're looking to potentially buy, is it Paramount? I think they're interested in buying because Paramount keeps talking about selling. So when they said pictures here, I thought they meant like pictures like movies. Like I thought they were being like formal about like what they meant like cinema, but I think they actually mean photography because later on there's an example here where Genki mentions stuff like digital cameras as something they consider quote unquote creation business, but it's still hardware. So again, what this specifically will look like remains to be seen. But they said it's going to include more community engagement. So my guess is that they are still interested in more multi-platform live service games. What people are assuming from this, of course, though, is that they are going to stop making consoles and focus entirely on making third-party games the same way Xbox seems to be going. Xbox hasn't said they're going to stop making consoles, but it does seem like all of their games are going to be multi-platform going forward. So people are wondering if Nintendo is going to be the last solely making console games for their consoles kind of business, like first-party games. What are your takes on this? Does this make sense?
One of the first things that we ever talked about in the first episode that I was in is how games are way, way, way too expensive. Like every generation, the production cost of games doubles. So it's like, they don't even need to make third-party games. They just need to stop making new consoles. Like, you know, in 5 years, instead of coming out with the PlayStation 6, come out with a version of the PS5 that maintains the same library, but is like half the price, because at that point, a lot of the components are going to be cheaper. Keep the bar for like production values where it is, even like pull it back a bit. I'm fine with that. And then, you know, especially because like the profit margins on console hardware are not very high, but in 5 years, if you're selling a version of the PS5, like the PS5 mini or whatever, that is like significantly cheaper, but also way cheaper to manufacture, you get to keep making money off of that. You get to keep opening it up to people. There's enough gamers in the market now that like, it used to be that at the end of like a 5 to 7 year console generation, everyone who wanted that console had one. But now it's like, how many people have actually bought a PlayStation 5 a few years in? So like, I don't want graphics to keep getting better because it's pointless. Like games look as good as they need to. Games have looked as good as they need to for 10, 15 years. We're just like, I don't care that the 4K super sampled textures, you can see the individual threads of the fabric texture. That's so pointless. I can't imagine a game being made better by that. But like, if you can, you know, create a version of the industry where AA is more viable, where a team of like our team, we have 20 people, I think, like, you know, our budgets are not massive and we made something beautiful and fun. And it's like, if the industry can have more teams like that, where we don't need hundreds of millions of dollars to make stuff, that's just going to be better for everyone. It's going to be more better games that don't need to be crappy live service bullshit in order to make a profit. I can't tell you how many times I'll see a trailer for a game and it'll look beautiful. It can look like a masterpiece. And then as soon as I see live service, boom, I do not want to play it. I'm not going to play it. Like, cause you can't make a good live service game. You have to balance your game. You have to balance your in-game economy around incentivizing people to pay for stuff. So it doesn't matter if your core gameplay is good. The structure of the game and the way that the progression works is just going to be bad. And I'm going to stop because like I could rant about this until the cows come home, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Something that also is actually very frightening in terms of, like triple A and even quadruple A now is the fact that it's making a standard for the entire industry that is absolutely unachievable if not for extended crunch and extended, overworked tight creator that will just jump out the industry at some point because you cannot make a living like that for the entirety of your career. You are going to die of exhaustion, of suicide, of whatever. Sorry for the trigger word. And I remember when the Last of Us 2 came out, and I was at the big studio back then, and we were all talking about the fact that the rope physics was so realistic that it hurts, and everyone was like, how can we do that? I mean, are we going to have to make is it going to be the standards now? Are we going to have to die at work to make like the rope being perfectly animated? Is it going to be our life now?
I remember the horse balls in Red Dead Redemption 2 where they were like, oh, in the cold environments, the horse testicles shrink. And I'm like, and like, this is concurrent with stories coming out of like the people at Rockstar having to do absurd amounts of overtime so that the horse balls could shrink.
120 hours a day, not a day, sorry, a week. You can't do that. I mean, this is. And I'm playing right now Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's an amazing game, and I definitely understand why people are very excited about it. But I never see my horse testicle shrinked. I mares in the games, but I never noticed that, and I don't really care. I mean, I'm just focusing the fact that Arthur is such a beautiful and amazing character, and all the people around me are so amazing. Everything that I have to do is so cool. I don't care about my horse testicle, and I don't care that my rope physique is absolutely amazing. Just make me a beautiful game. Make me a game that, pour me in and pour my soul into it. You can make a beautiful game without having to make something absolutely realistically. At this point, it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
I know that I'm in the minority here, but when I played RDR2, all of this stuff that people were like, oh my god, this is so technology, is the reason that I hated the game and stopped playing it. Is because I was like, I love the story and the characters. Rockstar's character writing is the best in the industry. Like, they are so top shelf. But also, every time I go into a store, and it's like the first time I went into a store, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what I can buy. So, the shopkeeper brings out a catalog, and it's like, oh, I open a catalog, and I'm flipping through pages in the catalog, and that's how the store works. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then, like, the 20th time, every time I want to switch a page and everything, like, the UX is just a little bit slower, a little bit clunkier than if it were just a freaking menu. And the game was constructed entirely out of stuff that was really neat details that existed to waste my time. And that was everything. And so I'm like, I want to play through this story, but it is so frustrating to play because it's like, Arthur is a beautiful man, and he controls like a fridge that has a smaller fridge on bungee cords on the inside, and you're trying to move that around on a dolly, and that's what the main character of that game is. And it's all in service of realism that I don't care about. And I'm sure that several people worked themselves to death in order to make sure that the dolly meta fridge inside of a fridge bungee cord setup for Arthur's controls worked properly. And I was like, I got to like near the end of Valentine, the second chapter, I think, and I was just like, nope, I hate this game. I'm done. As beautiful as the writing is, I wish I'm going to watch that game. I'm going to watch a playthrough of that game. That's the only time I'll say that, like, I will watch a playthrough of it because the act of playing it is so unpleasant for me.
Well, speaking of games that our time sucks, actually, and in a good way, in my opinion, but there was an interview this week with Mark Dara, who's an ex-BioWare lead, and he was saying that Dragon Age, there's never going to be a Dragon Age remastered trilogy. There's never going to be a remastered Dragon Age Origins. It's very unlikely. So someone else is
interviewing
Betsy.
him.
And, yeah, Betsy seems to be a little bit sad about this.
You're doing soul damage to her.
I'm broken. I just wanted to see Zevran again. I just wanted to see him again. The fact that he's not in Veilguard just broke me. Like, don't do that to me. I wanted to see he's the only man that I ever cared about.
You know that if you took Zevron and you anthropomorphized him, he'd basically become Puss in Boots. I just want that image in your head now.
Oh no. Okay. Dragon Age Origins used to be my favorite game before another game came after that, but I played it like all of the time, so many times, and I didn't even thought like the remake was even on the table, and the fact that he will never be on the table again is just like I had a hope for a microsecond, and now it's broken.
Well, there is a little bit of hope, and I'll kind of get to this because so Mark Darrah basically confirmed in this interview that he did that a remaster of the original 3 Dragon Age games trilogy is very unlikely to happen. So basically, he said like internally they were kind of like haphazardly calling it the Champions trilogy. They were gonna like retroactively go back and make them like a trilogy based on a thematic idea where all the protagonists are champions. But and he thinks they should still do a remastered trilogy like they did for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, right? But he says there's a few problems with this. He says EA doesn't like to do remasters; it's just not in their culture. He said that the development of remasters or remakes for these games would be a lot more challenging, and if they were to send it to like an external production house, they would have to basically learn the engine from scratch. They'd have to learn all the code. They'd have to like basically start from scratch to like learn how everything works. So it would have to be done internally. And the money that they have is basically limited to either making a new game or doing the remasters. And EA wants, because EA said like you can actually make these games, but you have to do it with the money that you have. So it was never a formal pitch inside the studio, and EA was never explicitly against it. But because EA doesn't want to give them more money to do it so they can hire more people, because then when the project is done, those people will have nothing to do and they have to lay them off. And EA would like to avoid layoffs where possible, right? So they don't want to hire a whole team just for one project.
Do they not still have the source code?
They do.
Because they're like, are we talking about a remake or a remaster?
They were specifically talking about remasters in this interview, but I don't think I think they hinted at, like, there was a bit of a discussion about a remake for Origins specifically. It would have been like, and I think like what Mark Darrah was saying was like that you remaster Dragon Age Origins and then you get the second game for free because it's a lot of the same assets and code. Like there's a lot of overlap there. It would be Inquisition where things would be a little bit more difficult. To like, it's 2 projects basically, 2.5 projects.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the fact, there were even, like, supposed to have any, like, follow-up and sequels of Origins. It was supposed to be, like, an entire big story. And the fact that, we had this talk, like, so many times. I mean, an entire podcast would be necessary to talk about what I feel about, Dragon Age, and the entire, like, license. But definitely, Dragon Age Origins is a very important game for me, and definitely my Warden is like literally my child. I still love her very much, and I still have stories in my head, and sometimes I write them off because I used to be reading a lot of fan fiction about the Dragon Age. So definitely, I understand why the remake would be very very difficult. Especially, like the fact that for Vedgard they had to do like an entire world reboot. Because like all the choice that you make in the entire in the previous game, especially the two first, are not compatible with everything that it did. There is too many stuff to do, and it was already visible, like in Inquisition, like first time I see Liliana, I'm like, I killed you. I remember specifically you were drying in your blood, and I was laughing at you because I don't like you. I was laughing at your face saying, haha, you're dead, not see you next Tuesday. And I'm like, and she's here, I'm alive, and I don't like the Warden because she killed me, but I'm here. And I'm like, girl, stay dead, why are you here? And I mean, I understand what they had to do this, I'm not saying that, oh my god, you don't give me my choice, how dare you, but I mean, at some point they had, it's just, making sense that the fact that doing a remaster is going to be extremely complicated. And I think it's very clever to actually put the second one inside the first one. Because, like the stories are very, like, intersect together. Sorry, I don't know if it's an English word, but yes, I mean, but I'm still having a little bit of hope. Like maybe I will have my remaster. Maybe I will see the run again, and this is the best thing that could ever happen. Yeah.
Fair. All right, we have a couple of quick news stories here. There were some layoffs at Bithell Games. So it's pretty sad that at this point, because every week when there's layoffs, I try to cover them to at least mention them, because like a lot of people aren't reporting on them anymore. When they do, it's like a very quick thing because people are so exhausted from hearing about layoffs, and I totally get that. But I also think it's important to at least note them because like someone's got to talk about this and note this because it keeps happening. And so Bithell Games, for anyone who doesn't know, made the game Thomas Was Alone, and they also just released last month a really cool looking game that I haven't had a chance to try yet, but it's called Tron Catalyst, which is like this isometric, like almost Zelda-like kind of Tron game. It's not exactly Zelda-like, but it looks really cool. So I'm hoping it gets a Switch 2 port because that's kind of where I want to play it. But unfortunately, Bithell Games, they couldn't secure funding for their next game, and they laid off 11 people, which is most of their studio.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
There is so not many stuff to tell because it's just like basic Tuesday at this point, and this is just a sad. It's a sad world we live in for the industry.
It's especially sad when it happens to indies. I mean, it's sad everyone because, like, at this point, like, it used to be that you go to work for AAA because you get more job stability, and that's not the case anymore because now all the AAAs are just like, hey, this game made money and was successful. We're still firing everyone, though, because we need our stock to go up this quarter.
Absolutely. This is... I remember when... I think it was for Marvel Rivals that the game were an extraordinary, success.
It's super successful, right? Like, it's like, it doesn't matter anymore.
And I remember I personally I saw the coverage from, like Moist Critical, like Charlie White, the YouTuber. He did a video about this, and he was so dumbfounded because now even when the game are successful, people getting fired. What can we do to actually, make stuff for the devs?
It's like we just have this, it's this like hyper capitalist thing where it's just like, I'm the CEO, my ass is on the line all the time. So I need the number to go up this quarter so that I have a job next quarter. So, we cannot just find more market all of a sudden. So the only thing to do is to reduce your operations costs. So you just stack fire a bunch of your people. It's the same shit that like Jack Welch started doing with, what was it? General Electric in the 80s, but it's just gotten worse and worse industry wide.
So, we could harp on layoffs, like all day long. I don't really have too much new to add. That wouldn't be an entire podcast episode. Like, I see where the problems are, and I'm powerless to like do anything about it. I can only sit here from my like little podcast seat and say like, hey, these are happening. Everyone take notice.
You'll have another chance to talk about it next week, I'm sure.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry, out of the absurdity of it. But, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna I know this is an audio podcast, but Betsy is holding her cat. And
yes, and she absolutely hates it.
Oh, that's right, Bucky's a girl. I keep thinking Bucky's a boy, because
he's a girl. Yeah, she's a girl. She's a girl, yeah, she's named after the Winter Soldier because she looks like him. Look at... That's him. That's definitely him.
She has all her limbs, though, right?
Yes.
I've been in Betsy's apartment, and she has multiple pictures of Bucky from the Winter Soldier around.
Well, I mean, I think Sebastian Stan is pretty attractive.
He's a lesbian in my heart. Definitely. Well, I mean, he's a great actor, but definitely, I mean, it's for her, Oh, she hates it. Okay, I'll let you go, girl.
Mom, stop cuddling me.
I put a toy, so she's going to be less cranky now, I think.
So, one more quick news story here before we jump into the payment processor stuff. Ratatan, which is the spiritual successor to Patapon, has a new release date. So this was actually delayed about a month ago from July to a future date, and I actually completely missed this news, so for that I apologize, but it now has a new release date for its early access version on Steam, and that's going to be Friday, September 19th. It's unknown if the game is queer, but the devs were definitely allies during Pride Month, and we love to see allies in the gaming space when we find them, especially these days when allies are a little bit fewer and farther between. Have either of you played Patapon or heard of this spiritual successor, Ratatan?
I've heard of Patapon. I have Patapon on my gaming handheld, which now is covered in cool stickers, because every time I do my injection, I forget my injection a lot, so my girlfriend went to the dollar store and got stickers, and now every time I do my injection on time, I get a cool bug sticker or space sticker. Aww. And I hate how much that motivates me, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna miss out on a sticker, I gotta do it!
Whatever gets you to get that injection done.
Yeah.
I played Patapon. So yeah, I really loved it. I'm not exactly into rhythm game, but I'm very curious about what will happen next. But I kind of like playing Patapon.
It's like a rhythm strategy game, right?
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. All right, let's jump into the payment processor stuff, because I haven't had either of you on. I've talked with Cleo, and I've talked with Lloyd about this, but I haven't had either of you on yet. So it'd be nice to get different takes on this. But there's been a whole bunch of happenings with the payment processor stuff. So Betsy, I assume you're familiar with what's going on with Steam and itch, and generally with the anti-porn movement that's happening right now. Yeah. I unfortunately take a deeper look into it, and it's even worse than I thought. So I have stuff to say. Let's see. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the what happened this week. So for anyone who doesn't know, payment processors like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Stripe have started basically strong-arming services, platforms, Steam, itch, various porn sites to take down certain types of content they deem, too much, whatever that may be. It started off with stuff that was related to sexual assault. And at face value, that might sound like a good thing to remove stuff like that, but it never just stops with that. It's usually a gateway drug to everything else. And so there's been a bunch of goings on lately. And my theory, and I'm sure most people's theory at this point, is that it's going to lead to queer games. And we're starting to see that now. So, the first thing though that I discovered, I didn't discover this, but I discovered it for the purpose of bringing it to the podcast, is that Russell Vought, the co-author of Project 2025, which is Trump's, his manifesto, his Mein Kampf, his bullshit document that says how he's going to destroy the planet, is behind the porn ban, which is reaching out and affecting video games. So these are three admittedly speculative sources that kind of connect all this together. So I will preface this saying that this isn't explicitly confirmed, just very heavily implied. And it's likely to be true, but not confirmed. So grain of salt. Two people went undercover to get an interview with this Russell Vought, who's kind of secretive. And during this undercover interview, he spoke very candidly about how he wants to protect children by banning porn. But for the last years, he says this has been difficult. So he and other people have had to find other ways and other paths to kind of get rid of porn. And so far, what we're seeing this year is they've enacted age verification laws, especially that we've seen in the UK and certain states. So when you log into a not safe for work website, you have to either take a picture of your face, and actually YouTube enacted this week as well, where in the US you now have to take a picture of your face or provide photos of your ID. And if I trusted a service, I might give my face or ID, just because okay, fair enough. But it's a picture that's going into data. And there was also another leak from another app called T in the US, where every woman's driver's license who was on this app had their driver's license just leaked in a data breach. So nothing is safe, nothing is sacred. Anyway, so the age verification laws is one thing that they've been doing. Where you have to prove your age before logging into these websites. And then, so there are also state-by-state porn bans that are intended to snowball to the entire country, right? One state does it, then another state does it. You start normalizing it, and then suddenly it's like a Trojan horse, right?
Well, it's not just about normalizing it. It's the idea that you do it on a state level. It's definitely unconstitutional, but right now you have a Supreme Court that's stacked with Republicans. So basically, someone challenges it, it goes up to the federal Supreme Court level. And then once the Supreme Court makes a ruling, that means that it is now legal in the entire country.
That's true. And with the Supreme Court, that is definitely still the case, but they're also now starting to undo things that were precedent as well. They're starting to challenge gay marriage and interracial marriage as part of that as well. So, and then the other part of this obviously is banning video games, right? So, this deleted Gelburu tweet, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that. Gelburu, it's this is the owner of a hentai website. The porn ban affects Steam games being banned. So, just quoting from his deleted tweet here, or their deleted tweet. This man has already publicly stated his desire to have pornographic content, talking about WrestleBot, by the way, violent video games and other types of content, quote, harmful to children, unquote, banned from the internet. This claim he makes is not based on unbiased scientific testing. In a 2-minute clip posted on YouTube by The Intercept, which you can find linked down in the show notes, the following transcript, highlighted in yellow, shows his intended starting point, which is start with children, and then he cuts himself off from explaining the next part of the plan of violent video games, etc., as that route had failed twice already in the past few decades. So all that stuff with violent video games where people said, kids having access to Call of Duty is the reason kids are going out and shooting kids at other schools, so we now know where that kind of came from. We knew obviously that was kind of like coming from somewhere. These are arguments that like affiliates of the NRA have been making for decades now. Cause I mean, like you had I think they were like congressional hearings in the 90s about like Doom and like Night Trap and stuff. Because ultimately like you have this horrible problem of school shootings happening all the time, and you can't say that it's due to access to firearms, so you have to kind of have a scapegoat. It's mental health, it's violent media, etc. And that doesn't really make any sense, and it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, but the purpose is just to kind of like have some bullshit that you can say to justify stuff. Like we're past the point where facts and reality mean anything. Yeah. Definitely. So like, it's, sorry to cut you off, Betsy. I just wanted to say too that, like, for example, right now Trump is trying to lower the, like they just spent the last 2 years of getting their Trojan horse of getting into the presidency and the White House by saying that like trans kids are too young to know they're trans. Right? Like, and even adults now, like they're saying like, 25 is still too young. You gotta wait till you're much older. And so, if kids are too young to know that they're transgender, but now they're trying to lower the, with the Epstein case and everything that's going on, they're now trying to say that like 14-year-olds are legal adults. So like our 14-year-olds are old enough to, be sexually legal, but they're not old enough to like, it's not, that's not something that makes a lot of sense with them.
It doesn't, right? It doesn't have to like, I'm really at the point where it's not worth like trying to evaluate it rationally anymore, because they know that it's not rational. They know that it is completely devoid of any kind of logic or reason. It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. Like we're far past the point where discussion has any value. We're at the point where it's like there's just violent activism. Like they want to kill all of us, and there's only really the option to kill them back.
I mean, one proof that it doesn't make any sense rationally is the fact that there is this very like lens put on everything, like purity, porn ban and everything. But if there is, like an anime girl with big boobies in the video game, haha, trigger the liberals, and I'm like, oh. I'm never being mad with a girl with big boobies, like give me the big boobies, give me the anime girl in skipping suit. I don't give a shit.
I'm queer as a $3 bill. Show me some tits. It's fine.
I mean, definitely. Like if a game is expensive, make me a nice girl with big boobies in it. I don't care about the big boobies. This is the debate that was in 2016. Right now we're talking about something that like. Where is the line between like the purity girls must cover herself?
There's no line. It doesn't matter. Like it's like you are going to wear yourself down trying to find reason in it. Republicans and more broadly conservatives are systematically at every step of the way the people who support child abuse or the people who support rape and pedophilia. They are the people who are grooming children. They are like, you might as well rename the Vatican the Pedophile Relocation Board. No organization in human history has been more responsible for prolific rape and sexual assault of children. Like you go to church
cheating now.
You go to church and your kids get raped. That's what happens all the time. Like thousands of priests publicly known to be molesting children, and the people who are supposedly from the religious right do not care. So when they say we care about protecting children, that is bullshit. And the only thing to do is say we care about protecting children. You tell them to shut the fuck up and look at their own goddamn house. Look at Boy Scouts. Look at the fucking religious schools that these people are being sent to. That is where children are being abused. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. They're nonsense where they have to do like ass backwards mental gymnastics in order to explain how telling a person that trans people exist is somehow abuse, that is completely devoid of reason. But you know what's not abuse? When someone goes to church and they get raped by their priest over and over and over again, and then the fucking institutions that are organizing these things is literally trying to then be like, well, we can't have this person get in trouble, so they send them to another state. They send them to the goddamn archdiocese, and the archdiocese redistributes them. Because conservatives like to abuse children. Conservatives like to rape kids. Fundamentally, inarguably, anyone with any observance of the facts knows this. They don't care about protected children. They'd be worried about the fucking age of consent for a girl who's like 14 to be able to marry an adult and all sorts of crazy bullshit like that happens in southern states and red states. But they don't care. They don't care about protecting children. And if you let them have that sound bite, same with freedom of speech, because they're all censors. Same with all of this bullshit. It's just like, they're so full of shit that having any conversation with them that isn't you taking a goddamn sledgehammer to their face is just not enough, because you're playing by their game. You're legitimizing their ideas by discussing it with them, because any person whose head is screwed on even remotely right is going to understand that this is completely devoid of reason, but it doesn't matter. Because it's fascism. Fascism is just about repeating the same bullshit over and over and over again while you're using it to justify immeasurable cruelty. And it's just, people just fall in line because either they're scared or they can't be asked.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like born and raised in France, so definitely I have a very like Catholic upbringing. Like I was. You okay? You okay? I see you. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. But I mean, you're right. This is unacceptable. And I have a Catholic upbringing. I'm very vocal by the fact that I was raised a Catholic, and I actually very enjoyed to go to church and everything. I want to preface, I was never abused in the Catholic Church. My priest was a wonderful man. I still, respect him deeply. I don't think he will enjoy.
I think priests are like cops in the sense that there's probably totally fundamentally good people who are cops, but they still serve an institution that is inherently cruel and evil.
Definitely. I totally agree with you on that. But the fact that recently there is in France, like the big scandal of Bétarame, which is like a very Catholic, like boarding school. With lots of kids being abused and, like morally, physically, sexually sometimes. And there were so many very dreadful stories that happened there and are being told now, And our current Prime Minister in France actually used to be a very big patron and of this institution. And he keeps saying that he never knew, but we know he was there, he knew, and, his wife actually teach a boarding school in here, so, Catholic, they teach catechism, Sunday school. I can't remember the name in English, I'm sorry.
We call it Sunday school, like a place where the underage people will go during church to kind of learn about Bible study and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So definitely, yes. So she used to teach that right there. His wife, so he knew everything. And but I'm like, like with my brain trying to rationalize this and just saying, okay, I understand that you are deeply Catholic and you want to believe in it and you want to protect your institute, but at which fucking point, when your children are literally being schooled at this place, and nothing will happen to them because you are a very important person. He was the mayor back then, so he's still the mayor, I think. He was the mayor back then, so obviously his children are going to be safe.
The irrationality is kind of the point. That's one of the mechanisms of fascism, is that it's meant to exhaust you mentally. That like
the fact that I can fathom the fact that at nowhere your empathy doesn't say, okay, there is children at risk right now. I'm going to do something, anything. I'm just going to give them no more money. I don't understand why your empathy doesn't crack up at some point when children are being abused. I really don't care.
Religion is one of the mechanisms that is used to train an empathetic person into turning against their values.
Exactly. You're right. But yeah, I definitely understand deeply what you're saying.
So to bring it back to video games, this is all
Yeah,
good stuff.
sorry.
But let's bring it back to video games for here, because there's actually some interesting developments here. Most of it's bad, but one of it's very, very interesting. So first off, I'll just say that some not safe for work and safe for work Yuri games have been de-indexed. For anyone who doesn't know, Yuri is the Japanese term for like lesbian manga, sapphic manga, and so by de-indexed here, this is their version of like delisting something on itch. Which is basically hiding it from being searched. If you know the exact link of where you need to go, you can actually still access this, but you can't find it through regular means, organically. And this is severely impacting the livelihoods of queer game creators, including one in particular mentioned in the article, Crispy Cat, a duo dev team. Crispy Cat, Tony, and other game developers who've had their Yuri content removed have reported a loss of income from having their games de-indexed. So we're starting to see the symptoms of these problems. Developer Tony said, and I quote, "My most popular games, and the only ones that I consistently earn any money or opportunities from, have been delisted from itch's store. They can't be searched directly on the site or found through browsing anymore, and so even after the initial push of support and downloading from people over the ban, my overall traffic has sunk. Itch's new terms about what content is permitted has put community funding bundles into chaos too, and it could mean I won't even see the previous payout I'm still waiting on. Between this and the new worry that places like Patreon will follow suit and shut not safe for work creators out entirely soon, the impact seems to be coming from what feels like all sides," unquote. So actually, I didn't know that. I mean, I had to guess that like any payment platform, any like platform or service is on the chopping block. Like Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, Patreon, hell, the site I host my podcast on could like decide like, hey, we don't like your content, you're done. Right? So like the fact that Patreon, there's like rumors and rumblings of that. Sorry? The reason
that they're going through payment processors is that payment processors are just like fundamentally necessary for these platforms to exist. So it's like if MasterCard or Visa goes to Steam and says, if you don't make this change, we will pull your contract, Steam doesn't have a choice. Steam stops existing if they don't follow this thing. So it's like, it's easy to be mad at itch or Steam or something, but like it's much more insidious where it's like Steam has a gun to their head and they have to do this.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is a very unfortunate situation for Steam. I don't hold them responsible for what's happening, but this is definitely a very, very scary time to be queer, to be a creator, to be independent, and to just love game in general. And where do you put the line? This is the type of set that I'm very wondering, because definitely one of the games that I really love, Fear and Hunger, is not exactly, like anti-ish, but it's extremely, like gore-ish. It's Berserk as a video game per se. So definitely it's hidden under, like the porn stuff and everything, because definitely it's very heavy game with a lot of nudity in it, a lot of, like very, explicit stuff happening in the game, even if it's in like RPG Maker stuff. Where is the game still available? Actually, let me just double check that. Fear and Hunger.
There's probably a lot of stuff that's still available. I'd be surprised if Fear and Hunger were down, but like, yeah, it's still there. I mean, this is the first salvo though, right? Is like if they win this, then they push it further.
I mean, yes, yeah. They released, like Good Master 300.
It's pushing the window and setting the precedent. That's why I'm like anti-censorship. Is like, you said earlier, Zoe, like, portrayals of like abusive women, like you might be okay with that getting taken away, and it's like, I'm not. No, I don't care. I'm
just saying, like, it's one of those things that when you put it down on paper in a brief sentence, it sounds like, oh, well, we took down everything that has, like, sexual assault and rape in it. And like, your brain goes, well, those are things that are bad, so of course we should take away bad things. I don't think anything should be censored personally.
It's like there's a lot of art where it's like, personally, I think that this is super distasteful and I don't like it, but I would never want it to get taken away. And that even goes for shit that is, like, politically or ideologically diametrically opposed to me. Like, have a copy of Mein Kampf at the public library. Like, sure, the precedent that you set by banning this shit is this. It's like, oh, great. Well, once it's like how, one of the slow going plans that's happening in the United States right now that's going to try and get all trans people basically just like criminalized even more so than we already are is like the cross-dressing bans, the drag bans. I think that Tennessee had one of these before. And the idea is basically that you're going to classify anyone who cross-dresses, and in a country that doesn't recognize trans identities, that's going to be every trans person. If you have them classified as a sex criminal, and then also you push capital punishment on people who are sex criminals, then you have essentially essentially just redefine trans people as people who can be exterminated. And like, that's where this is going. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, it's very clearly where it's going. And over the last decade, I'm getting so flabbergasted and frustrated by gutless liberals being like, oh, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. Like, and it's like every single step where I'm like, well, this thing's going to happen. And they're like, no, that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. And then it does happen and it keeps getting worse. And it's like, at what point does your capacity to reason just be like, oh, well, they keep pushing it farther than I thought they would each time. And after a decade of this, you have to realize that they just want to exterminate us. They just want us to all be dead or in a prison.
Definitely, this is my family in a nutshell. You know, I can remember, you know, like any it's always like that. It's always like that. Don't calling them Nazi, you know, like bro, they are little Nazi now, you know, like they don't even hide anymore, you know, they just, you know, like with tiki torches trying to make a revolution of some kind.
That was a decade ago.
And I was still saying, oh my God, they are Nazis, and people were like, no, they're not Nazi. Don't say Nazi. I'm like, they're literally saying Nazi shit, you know, like if it quacks like a duck. I mean,
sorry, my apologies. That was 8 years ago.
Yes, definitely.
The Unite the Right rally in Charlotte was 2017.
I'm going to try to bring it back to video games again, because there's a couple of details here too that I want to get to before we jump into our segment for the week. Because like this is all good stuff. Like I think this is all very relevant and very important. But we only have so much time in the episode.
Yeah,
and the process you're talking about, where you know, like it starts with one small thing and it escalates, right? We're seeing that right now. We're watching it in real time, not just with trans people in the US, but also right now with the video game ban that's happening, that's starting to happen. And so
that's also
there are activists.
By acting on a payment processor and getting them to act on a storefront, you get to ban it everywhere and not just within one particular market.
Yeah. Yep. And so, and people have been fighting back, the continued pressure, and this comes from the Trans News Network article that I was quoting from before when I was talking about Crispy Cat and developer Tony. So this quote is, the continued pressure on Visa has had demonstrable effects through their customer service employees. Activists report being screamed at by customer service reps, having insults like rapist hurled at them, and employees even alleging that callers may be engaging with illegal content. As many in the replies to Valen's post said, this is a sign to both keep going while also maintaining some compassion for overworked call center employees who are likely facing harassment from management. So
yeah, one of the big things that, like, you know, you're on Blue Sky, right? A lot of people are talking about basically just trying to keep up with a lot of pressure, like calling into, because ultimately, like, this group that is responsible for this collective shout or I think originally behind this, and this is an Australian.
Yeah.
Well, the like specifically Collective Shout were the ones who organized this. I don't know if they have any known like affiliation with Russell Vaught.
The evidence that we found.
I know that's the implication, but like officially Collective Shout are the ones who are taking responsibility for this. So like that's allegedly, whereas like anyways, right. But it's a group of probably like I think something like 1,500 to 2,000 people who initially like basically just flooded the payment processors in order to like, you know, complain and stuff and get this done. Like it was essentially done by people who were complaining enough that like they took action. So now people are, you know, trying to reverse it by the same kind of action, like calling into call centers and stuff. And like, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because like,
well, and I don't want to cut Betsy off here, but there is some hope from a very strange place. So, this is very similar to what's happening right now with Paramount and South Park. If anyone's been following that, I'm not going to summarize it too much, but basically the creators of South Park strong-armed their way into a millions of dollars deal to keep their show going. And so, and they also kind of promised under the table that they wouldn't mock Trump or the current administration, but then they turned around that week and did exactly that, and they continue to do that, and they continue to double down. And I don't really like South Park, but also the enemy of my enemy is my weapon that I can not stand in the way of, right? So what we're about to see now is that Zoom, which is a platform I've never heard of, but they're a DRM's free game platform like GOG, like Good Old Games. And apparently they're saying that there's been some interest from payment processors to potentially remove the Duke Nukem series, Saints Row, and wait for it, not Call of Duty, sorry, Grand Theft Auto. My brain flubbed there. But Grand Theft Auto. So what I'd love to see is have Rockstar face off against the US government, because GTA 6 is a juggernaut Goliath that is going to absolutely steamroll over anything that's going to happen. And I think, as much as I don't want it to be this game, GTA 6 might be the game that saves us, because
Well, they're not going to go after GTA 6 because, like, ultimately the reasoning that they're using to support these bans, like this is the thing, is that, like, this is why I'm so, like, saying, like, stop trying to deal with this with reason, because, like, they have all of these rules that they're going to say that, like, oh, these are the things that we're going to ban, but then they're not actually going to follow their own internal rules. These are just a set of rules that they can use to ban the stuff that they don't like for political reasons. It has nothing to do with, you know, the specific set of, like, stuff. Grand Theft Auto 6 will contain every single one of the notes that they're using to ban this stuff. It is going to continue. It's going to contain sexual assault and rape. It's going to contain LGBTQ stuff. Probably super, like, you know, transphobic, homophobic stuff, because we know what Rockstar's sense of humor is when they're making GTA. And it's, like, not going to matter because nobody's going to ban GTA 6. Because this is ultimately about Puritans. And, you know, these people seem to like GTA. Like, it's just it's all dishonest. It's all dishonest and bad faith.
I think there is something about, you know, like Detroit Become Human too, and I can't even believe that I have to defend Detroit Become Human now. I can't believe this. This is all low. This is all low. Everything.
So bad.
Like, I hate this game with all my life. I hate David Cage. This is a rough time when I have to defend Detroit Become Human.
I went on a date with a girl that worked at Quantic Dream, because that's here, right? And, like, you know, she was like a senior dev, and apparently she was, like, working, like, directly with him. And I'm not gonna, like, say who, but I was just kind of like, I mean, it was a nice date. She was nice, but the entire time I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many questions that I can't ask because it's a first date.
Oh my! Send her to me. I'm going to ask on the first date.
I'm not still in contact with her.
Oh, too bad, too bad. I would aspire. I don't care. I have questions, and I need answers. But I mean, it's pretty much like every time I wonder something about, you know, like a male creator, like a male genius that is supposed to have, you know, like we have it, you know, like cold water or something like that. Every time anytime like something is shady, I'm always right. You know, like same thing for Tim Burton. You know, like,
well, you know, like there's some misgivings about David Cage, where, like, you know, like Elliot Page, when he was in Beyond Two Souls, I think was the title of the game, back before he transitioned, and basically, like, there was a thing where this is a bit fuzzy, but basically, like, you know, he wanted to have a scene with Elliot Page showering, because, you know, back then, before he transitioned, it was like, you know, like, oh, like this, like, cute starlet, blah, 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 and wanted to do, like, a body scan. And he said, no, like, I don't want my body to be scanned into a video game for a nudie scene. And I think that it was just that, like, he kind of just went and had modelers make a body then.
Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna Google this because I'm not, like, 100%.
I'm not surprised. I mean, the Kara's character in Detroit Become Human is literally like the. It's one of so many things that I think sucks hard in this game. But I mean, she's basically a mom, and I'm like, at this point, I never played. I just watched a walkthrough and some streamers. But I'm like, just kill the kid. Just kill the kid. Maybe she would have a personality, as maybe Kara will develop a personality of some sort and not become just mommy. I don't know. Just do something, anything, you know, like there is a character that could be interesting. Do it. But, you know, like, no, that's...
It's funny because, like, he clearly wants to tackle big ideas, but he just does them so incuriously, where it's like I'm a big fan of science fiction and, like, science fiction concepts that explore big ideas. And so it's like, oftentimes, like, I've tried a couple David Cage games where I'm like, oh, hey, this is, like, a great start. Like the man does know how to put, like, a scene together in a way that starts being intriguing. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm kind of in on this. And then it's just like, as you go on, it's just like the worst possible version of everything. And I'm just like, oh no. Oh,
he wants to do like, oh my god, but I do like interactive movies and everything, but it's shitty movies, you know, like this. If it wasn't a video game, it would be like 30% of Rotten Tomato. It's a shit movie with the shit stuff, with barely, you know, like it sells nothing. I can't even believe that people can say, you know, like the game is remotely interesting. I can understand people love it. I have, you know, like stuff that I love that are pretty bad too.
Oh, I love terrible things.
Me too. If you love the game, I understand. But you can't tell me that it's interesting. You cannot tell me that. I mean, not after, you know, like Blade Runner, Soma, Murderbot. I don't get it. How can you even?
I do think that it's interesting, but not in like the challenging art kind of interesting, but more just like, oh, this is art that like kind of reveals something about the internal psyche of a hack, you know?
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to take a short break, and after this musical interlude, because we're going to keep coming back to this payment processor thing week after week. I don't think it's far from over, unfortunately, and we'll see. We'll just see where GTA lands, whether or not they go after Rockstar or not. But after this short,
I do hope that they do. I do really hope that they do. Like, I have my opinion on that, but I want to be wrong about that.
Me too. Please go after GTA 6 so everyone can get mad.
Poke that bear, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to see. Whether they'll do it or not, I'm not sure, but I kind of hope they do because, like, I think this is where the buck stops. But anyway, after this short musical interlude, we'll be back and we're going to be talking about Zoe and Betsy's work together. Welcome back, True Avatars. So Betsy and Zoe are still here, and they are both going to let me pick their brains about their jobs and their relationship working together, and just generally what it's like to be queer in the industry. So I didn't really have like a main thematic topic for this episode, because originally what we had planned was something that you both can't talk about just yet. I know you talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the episode, which was the games you were pitching, but
once we have our next game pitched, then we're going to know what the next one is, which means that we'll be able to talk about the pitches we're not using. And I can't wait to talk about that because the brainstorming and stuff that we did was so much fun. Those were the most fun days I had at work.
Yeah, definitely. It was very funny. It was very fun. And I mean, there's so many games, so many ideas. At some point, you know, like the brain was melting by our ears. It was very, very rough.
Exhausting.
Oh, it was exhausting.
I think, okay, without talking about specific pitches, we can talk about what we did, because it was really fun.
Yeah, it was.
We're basically So, like, basically we had 2 days that were full day, like, brainstorming days. So, like, we get there in the morning, and it's structured into before lunch. And by the way, like, they got pizza and everything for lunch. Like, it was super, like, fun. So before lunch, we basically had the first few hours in everyone rotating around several stations, where there would be one person running the station with huge, big, blank white pieces of paper, and everyone had markers. And I think the first time we were talking about, like, specific elements of our game. So, like, you know, what is, like, cozy, like, you know, talking about, like, the atmosphere and the vibe, talking about the story, talking about the setting, talking about that kind of stuff. And the kind of idea was, in that day, we were coming up with kind of spiritual successor ideas, you know, because that was one avenue we thought we might go down. And so basically, like, everyone goes from station to station and they all put their ideas in for that kind of thing. And then in the afternoon of that day was basically just rapid fire pitches where everyone gets, like, scraps of paper that have a game idea on them. Like, just like a 2 or 3 word prompt or like a sentence prompt. And then you basically go with a group and privately come up with a game pitch, and then you pitch it to the studio. And
I think
so
it's really
that
cool. Sorry. I just want to say, I think it's really cool that they're taking pitches from everyone instead of just having, like, these little secretive, like, head of department meetings where they're like, okay, we're going to decide what we want. Like, obviously they're making that decision at the end of the day, but I just want to say, I think that's super cool that they
it was very cool. And at the
our studio is really collaborative.
Exactly. At some point, you know, like the entire afternoon was, you know, rapid pitches, and we were supposed to like to do like 10, I think. But after, you know, the sixth one, we were like, the brain was at the end. We tried to talk, and we tried to have like a meeting, and you know, like try to talk and make it like an afterthought about everything that we did, and everyone was like so dead inside. It was so fun.
I did not expect that like an entire day, like being creative is tiring. That was like we were all wiped, and like I think so. You know, we work until like 5. I think by about 3 o'clock was that everyone was like, okay, I'm cracking open a beer, and like yeah. And then the second one wasn't necessarily as constrained, but a nice thing about the second one though was that we got longer. So the afternoon we got longer per game. We had like I think like 10-15 minutes or something, or like half an hour to really come up with like a game idea. So we didn't come up with as many pitches, but I think that the ones that we came up with were a lot better. And like basically by the time we were done with these days, we had hundreds of pitches. And I lost my voice after the first one.
Oh, definitely. I remember. Yeah, you tried to present it, and you already presented so well. But at some point, I could notice like you were starting to crack. But it was so funny because sometimes like someone comes with an idea and they have no idea how to develop this idea. Like hey. Okay, we love this idea, but how exactly do we achieve that? How do we get the feeling that you want to provide? And some people were like, I don't know. But then another people would take this pitch and try to make it work. And after a new brainstorming session, they arrive with something that actually works. And I remember we did that with some.
We iterated on them, right? Where it's like. Every round was iterating on a pitch from another team.
Exactly, and there is one coworker especially. I won't name him, but after we tried to make his idea work, and we actually did it. He came to us. I was like, "You happy with us? Oh my god, you guys did it! It's so cool! I'm so proud."
Was that the one where we got a second chance on this one?
Yes.
Okay, I was really happy with that. I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, definitely. It was very fun.
I stole the thematic core of that from Majora's Mask. Don't tell anyone.
It's okay. I'm not judging you, but it was very interesting, to be able to come up with ideas and be able to iterate these ideas, because something that you learn very quickly when you work on the industry of video games is that the fact that one idea is. A video game is a work. It's a collective work. It's. I dislike. The idea of having rock stars inside the community, like the Kojimas, the David Cages. I'm not saying that these guys are not very good at what they do, but they have an entire team working with them. And when you pitch an idea, the idea is not exactly. It's not fundamentally yours. A lot of people took this idea and try to make something out of it. And this is something that you have to understand very quickly when you work in the industry. When I'm a graphic, I'm an artist, and so many people, so many young people that I see, doing this work, and so many of them, they come up with very defensive every time, like you try to get feedbacks to them, and I'm like, don't do that. You are going to shoot yourself in the foot. I understand my UI is my baby, but I know my baby is ugly, and I'm going to try to make the baby look good, but. It's my child. I don't like when people, just, roll over in my Photoshop file. I understand this. It's a little bit annoying to me, but feedback, I have to take them because I want my baby to look good. I understand being defensive. I really do, but you have to understand very quickly that you cannot do this alone. Not easy in this industry. You have to be sure that you
I think a lot of the games press likes to kind of like almost fetishize this idea of like a solo developer or a small team doing something in a way that's often really like not fair. Like, do you remember like Clair Obscur? There was like a big thing like, oh, Clair Obscur was only made by a team of 30 people. And it's like, no, that's bullshit. That's not true. Clair Obscur had a core team of 30 people and also like a shit ton of like contractors. And I think that they had like outsourced QA and stuff. And it's like you're really like not giving people credit for their work when you try and promote this narrative of the, like, it's still a small team as far as industry standards go. It's still a small team, but like people want to, it's like the smaller the number, the greater the story or something. And it's like, no, like really like, there's people who really get the shaft. Like QA gets the shaft, and that sucks because QA is awesome. Like QA is so important.
Definitely, I did actually. I started to like speak a little bit on TikTok, and I tried to talk about like the controversy about the very infamous now pirate software, because like he lied about his credential, about like being a full-on coder, hacker, game dev, whatever, and turns out he wasn't exactly that. But
oh my gosh, did you see the video where his supervisor for when he was working in
oh my god, yes, I saw
talked about how he just browsed Reddit all day and everyone hated him, but nobody could fire him because of who his dad was.
Exactly, this is definitely it. But I saw so many people, haha, he was QA, and I'm like, yeah, he was QA. He was,
yeah, like that. That's not the insult you think it is.
That's not the problem. I mean, if he was a QA, a good QA, and he tried to learn how to teach himself how to code, there is so many QAs that like they started QA, but they diverged to like programming and everything, and even design. And I think this is very beautiful. You can do that. It's a very easy. I'm not saying that QA doesn't require any particular diploma or everything. If it's an entry job, a lot of people can do it. But that doesn't mean that everyone can be a good QA. You have to communicate well. You have to be nice. You have to understand the game. You have to play it by yourself. You have to, you have a big list of stuff to test, and you have to make it work, and you have to communicate a lot with people. And not everyone can do that, and definitely not him. For what I gathered, he was very shit at communicating.
At his job. Well, he wasn't. He just didn't work. He literally just sat on Reddit all day.
Even now, he doesn't communicate with his player for the shit game that he did. And I did it. But if he was just a QA that managed, to teach himself how to code, he was, maybe hanging out with the programmer and say, hey, I tried to do that. Can you double check? I did that.
A lot of QA roles are programming. Like QA is not just testers. QA is like people who are building test suites. Like a lot of QA is building tools and automation systems that will actually simplify a lot of your testing process. They're good. Like QA is a really big thing. Like there's a lot of QA. Like there is QA who's just like, oh, someone who came off of the street who's just like kind of like doing like testing. And that's non-technical, but that still is a thing where like if you have a good understanding of the mechanistic underpinnings of games, like you're going to be better at like oftentimes when I'm playing games now, because I'm a programmer, like something will be kind of fucky and I'll be like, I think I know why that's not right. And it's like if you kind of have that sense, like you're going to be good at finding bugs where it's like, oh, like I'm in a menu and like, I mean, like you do UI UX, right? And it's like, oh, what happens if I navigate between these two, pieces of inventory, but I have one item selected and just all these fringe cases that aren't going to come up that often, but you really have to thoroughly be like, okay, well, how can I push the buttons on this system? And a lot of people can't think about that.
No, not a lot of people can think about that. And there is no shame about you doing QA. Just support your local QA. QA are just saving my ass all the time, so I love them. Big love to my QAs.
Yeah, I love QA. We're not actually talking about our job though. We're just talking about how great QA is.
But I mean, as myself, I didn't start in the industry as a UI UX designer, just fresh out the oven. I applied to be a UI artist, but I screwed up. My test wasn't that very good, but they called me back to become a marketing artist, and it was like, sign me in. And so I did marketing artist for half a year, maybe a year, but I started, to pinch a little bit, on the UI artist and say, hey, can I do that? Can I do that? Can you teach me? Can you any very gladly, make me do some tasks here and there? And actually, he started to additionate, and I started to make a lot of UI art for a lot of other projects. And when, there is a lot of stuff, also immigration. But when my contract was coming to an end, I applied to somewhere else to say, hey, I want to become a UI artist. And I became a UI artist. And that's how it happened. And definitely, there is no shame, to start at something that is not, what you want to do. But you have to give yourself, the power to do it. And definitely, Pirate Software thought it would lie his way to actually do some work, and you cannot do that. You cannot do that. And it's very funny because the industry is so small. Like, I know, like, everywhere this guy wanted to apply, everyone was like, is it good? No, it's shit. Don't hire him or just make it do anything. You know, like, his dad is famous. I know, but, yeah, no, he's not very good. Everyone knew that. I know everyone knew that.
It's funny that, like, God, I don't even want to belabor the pirate software drama too much, but it's like he said a thing that's totally true, which is like lots of games have shitty code, and it's like, yeah, your code doesn't need to be good for your game to be good. Lots of games are held together by just like, spit and hope. But it's like he's so like, stubborn about his code where he's insisting that it's amazing, and it's like, bro, it doesn't have to be good. If the game works, it's fine. But he's like, he has such a weird ego. It's like the industry is full of like mediocre coders who make amazing games, because ultimately, like, being like, you can make shitty code and have a great game if it works. Maybe it's not perfectly optimized, but if you're making like a 2D pixel art game that you're releasing on a fucking Xbox Series S, it doesn't have to be well optimized. You have so much room for the performance there. So it's like, but it's like when you're just like such a smug dick about it, like, oh my gosh, dude.
It was very funny. But yeah, I mean, definitely I agree with you. I think you cannot lie your way through this. He thought he could because, I don't think he used to be told no a lot of time in his life. But you cannot do that. And I have a lot of respect for his father, so that's a little bit sad. I mean,
yeah, his dad seems like a nice guy. But yeah.
So sorry,
also,
I just want to.
Yeah.
I want to kind of redirect the conversation a little bit back to Betsy and your role and your role with Zoe. And I'm just kind of curious. So you've been talking about user experience and user interface design. And I'm curious, like, what does a typical day look like for you?
For me?
You've been playing Aloft a lot lately.
Yeah, not anymore. I'm not playing that much. But at some point, like for the last update, I didn't have, like a lot of work to do for the update. So I, was like, no, nothing in highest priority. So I started to, sorry, to play the game a lot. And so I found a lot of bugs. I tried to do stuff like that. But usually I don't really have like a proper day per se, because there is a lot of stuff to do inside the UI. You have to do the mockup. You have to talk with the design. You have to be sure that everything is following up, the design purpose of the game. If you finally flaw, like, if there is something that is not, like remotely interesting, sorry, I have to take out my brain a little bit because nothing I say makes sense. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I don't exactly have like a day-to-day, like, yeah, I don't have a day-to-day schedule, I don't, but definitely, yeah, there is a lot of,
well, what's it like designing, I guess, like a user, like the user interface, for example? Like, I assume that means you had some input on menus. That means you had input, like, on, like, just like inventory, stuff like that. So maybe, like, you can talk a little bit about, like, what designing that was like, maybe specifically for Aloft, if you can talk about that.
So what is important when you start a menu is that you have to be sure that everything that is required for the game is actually showing inside the screen. So you have to be sure that all the information are not only easily accessible, but also easily like good to see, because I'm also an artist, so I have to make sure that everything is aesthetic and everything is cohesive, which is what I'm struggling a lot with right now, because a lot of the UI was made before I come here. So a lot of the UI is not exactly, like pixel perfect everywhere. So definitely I have to come back a lot of the time, and a lot of stuff that I actually did, because a lot of the features that I did are not inside the game right now. Because a lot of them were integrated before I came into the team. That's why we are going to work. We are going to work on that very soon. Actually, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's something that is taken into consideration for the very soon future of the game. But definitely, when you do a screen, you have to be sure that every information is easy to see. But also, you have to be sure that everything is cohesive in, aesthetic phase. But also, you have to be sure that the design is serving its purpose. That's why I'm talking a lot with design. Like I'm the only artist that also is working very end to end with the design, because I have to make sure that the features actually make sense. And sometimes I do a menu and I forgot to do, but what if this button is not available because maybe we haven't unlocked this particular feature at some point. But so what do we do? And I'm like, oh shit, that's true. So I'm graying out. So I'm making a state of having the button grayed out or something like that. But so yeah, definitely there is a lot of stuff, and you have to go back a lot. And sometimes the art is progressing inside the game, so updating. So you have to update the old mockups. There is a lot of trials and errors. There is a lot of and we are in early access, so this is the best time to do that, to try new stuff and to try to make it work. But there is a lot of a lot of work to make everything cohesive and everything flowy and the less frustrating possible, because no one wants to spend too much time inside the menus. This is a little bit the curse of the UI. You want to be sure. If it's shit, everyone is going to say it. If it's good, nobody will talk about it. So every time a new update, I'm like, no, I don't want to say anything about the UI. Okay, that's great, I guess, because no one is like, oh, I love this new menu. Thank you so much. No one is going to say that after an update. Nobody cares.
I notice good menus. Me and Betsy work together a lot because a lot of UI stuff ends up requiring code. God, do you want to talk about the HUD? I'm still pissed off about the HUD.
No, let's not talk about the HUD. I don't think it's. But let's just say that we we worked a lot on the HUD, especially Zoe worked a lot on the code of the HUD. But with the feedback, everything kept be pushing, and it wasn't released for the update that as we planned to do, because it wasn't ready because with the feedback. And actually I changed it again. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did, and it looks better.
It looks better, yeah.
I'm not mad at you. Your HUD is beautiful. I loved that thing. That was my baby. That's I understand the sense of ownership you have over stuff. I learned to make shaders for that.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you, girl. You did great.
Next step is to learn how to write it in GLSL.
And right now I'm working, because I think the game is missing a lot of juice. What we call the juice. I don't know if it's everyone say that, but the UI guy that teach me the word juice always use it, so I'm using it all the time. But the juice is when the little feeling of gratification that you have when you do something. Let's just say when you finished when you're playing Final Fantasy 7, sorry, and the little stuff to make you feel oh my god, I accomplished something. And it can be when you crash something, you have a nice VFX, and this is the type of stuff that makes you I did something good. And the game currently very like this, so I'm trying to go back to making motion design. So I'm working a lot of After Effects to say, hey, we have notification. What if we do a little bit more like that? And I'm trying to fake a click, some stuff being a little bit, popish, and trying to make that's why also I'm working on Unity to try to make the VFX by myself, so the programmer doesn't spend time to do my VFX for me. So I have to relearn that also. But it's not that complicated for me, because I used to work in I used to study advertisement, so I learned a little bit about motion design and everything. So yes, there is all of little stuff. I think UI is so fantastic, because it's definitely give you if the more you can do stuff, the more you're going to have fun to try to make it work better and everything. And I think this is definitely it's an often overlooked, but also a very interesting, discipline. And I think I made the right choice when I started to do that, because I started to do UI precisely at the moment when it started to get a little bit more recognition. But a lot of new people were coming to a lot of people actually, if you want to do UI, my little advice to you people that are actually listening to me ramble right now, a lot of people that came into the industry sending resume saying, I want to do UI for games. They do UI for, like web design and everything. We don't want to see that. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not the same. It's very different. I will very highly encourage you to maybe find your a nice game that you like and say, hey, what if, what would it look like on my phone? Maybe I can do like a UI, a Diablo 4 UI for my phone. Maybe it would be interesting to see that. Just try to make it a little bit more, like game oriented. Try to make icons, try to make stuff like that. But so many people come with their resume saying, hey, I do UI for web design and I would like to change, but no one is going to take you seriously, and I'm very sorry for that.
It couldn't be more different. Like the way that you do UI and like Unity or Unreal is just like a fundamentally different thing from UI and like, web dev or something. Like you're not writing cascading style sheets. You're not doing any of this stuff. You're using a game engine, which means that things are happening on your update loop. And like, I just wanted to talk about like Juice, that like, as like Juice is basically like the concept of stuff that doesn't change how things function, but makes it feel and look better. It basically improves game feel. So like a really great example is in like, let's say you have like a top-down shooter, and every time you get hit, the screen jiggles a little bit. That doesn't change the mechanics at all, but it makes it feel good. Or like you feel your controller vibrate.
Also, it can be very good in terms of accessibility, because when you have like a feedback that it can be sound or visual, it definitely tells you, hey, something bad is happening. Like you've been shot. So definitely it can also help you, but definitely right now I'm focusing on the Juice to make it a little bit more satisfying, because it's a game about coziness. Sorry. Can we talk about the game actually? Okay. They know we work on Aloft, right?
Yeah, this is like my 5th time on. Yeah, well, we're at Astrolabe.
Episode 11, I had
we
Zoe.
Work on
if
Aloft.
anyone wants to go back and listen, sorry to cut you off, Zoe, just to preface for listeners. When Zoe first joined the podcast, she was here as an interview guest back in episode 11. It's one of our most popular episodes. I highly encourage you to go back and listen to it. She talks about her game dev dreams. And in that, we established, too, that she was working at the time on a game that had not released yet called Aloft, which is done by, is it Astrolabe or Astrolab?
Astrolabe.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, well,
one of us knows where we work.
Anyway, that at the time it hadn't been released yet, and it released in early access in February, and I had Zoe back on again around that time too to talk about what it was like to put the game into early access and launch that. But yeah, you can absolutely talk about the game. I will just preface and say that we have about 5 minutes left on this discussion, and then we're going to jump over to Queer Game of the Week.
Okay, cool. What was the thing actually? So Aloft is a cozy game, it's about exploration and experience and everything, and I think it was a little bit lacking over, there is some very good stuff that works when you craft, that there is a little animation, that kind of stuff, like, is very cool, and I'm like, can we do that everywhere, or if not everywhere, at a lot of points? And they understand me, so that's why I'm working back on, going inside, motion design, and I'm a little bit rusty, but it's always very fun to do that. I really like it. So, and I have so many ideas with the new feature that I'm working on. I don't know if you saw it, Zoe, but I'm pretty proud of myself on this one. So
I haven't seen it. I've been off for like over a week now.
It's okay, girl. It's okay. Just take your time. But oh, definitely. But yes, I have some ideas for the VFX on this particular feature that is going to be a little bit revamped. And it's going to be very funny to do that, actually. And I cannot wait, because Kyle, the sound designer, we vibe very well. I really like him. He's like he may be my second word bestie. I'm sorry, Zoe. I'm cheating on you. But
Kyle's amazing. I'm cheating on you with him. It's fine. That dude's brilliant.
The lesbian all love Kyle. It's okay. I'm going to send him this podcast just so he will have a laugh.
Kyle's amazing. Oh my god.
I love Kyle. I'm going to glaze Kyle for the next 5 minutes. But yes, I mean, I have some ideas for him also, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be very happy about that, because we have so many stuff that I cannot talk about, and I'm so exciting for you guys. It's going to be amazing. I love this game.
I'm in the work Discord right now, looking at the most recent stuff you've posted, Betsy. This looks real good.
That's so
I can't say shit, but it looks great.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is my teaser for you guys. Keep posted, but because right now it's a little bit frustrating because with all the new update and everything. Like barely 20% of my UI is inside the game right now. So it looks like every time I present my work to someone, I'm like, dear, this is not integrated. This is not integrated. This is not integrated. Please don't judge me. And everyone's like, it's okay. I understand. But yeah, it's very funny. But I really cannot wait for you guys to see what's planned next, because we are going to be able to see a lot more of my work, and I'm so excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it. So yes, this is my work on Aloft right now. But I would be glad to be back, maybe to talk a little bit more about UI and everything, because I think this is interesting. I'm trying to go back on TikTok to talk a little bit about my work life, to talk a little bit about what is it to be a UI artist. Right now, I only did vlog, but I would like to just maybe take a screen that I like and just try to explain why it's important to have everything at this point. The placement and everything, the colors, why it would be interesting. I don't know. I have some ideas, but I'm also very lazy, and I have ADHD, so my executive dysfunction is actually pretty shit. So I'm trying to, but I have ideas. I have the ideas to be famous on TikTok.
Well, on that note, I think let's jump over to Queer Game of the Week. So, Betsy, you have brought us a game this week for Queer Show and Tell, for Queer Game Show and Tell. What's your game, and how is it queer?
So my game is Disco Elysium. I don't know if you guys hear about it. Oh my god, she's nodding. She knows. So the game could be considered queer because if you cook a little bit your partner inside the game, that is called Kim Kitsuragi. Kim is the best character I ever came across any media. I read a lot, I play a lot, I watch a lot. Kim is like the GOAT. I cannot even fathom such a beautiful character, and he's gay. He's gay actually. If you have the right, because how do I explain that? Because if you...
Well, let's go back for a second and just maybe for people who don't know what Disco Elysium is, maybe you can just give a little bit of setup for that.
Disco Elysium is like a CRPG, a little bit like old school, like Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And it's about, you play this guy that is waking up in a hotel room. Is very bad hangover. He's got a very bad hangover. He's a cop, actually, a detective, and you just try to understand where the fuck you are, and you understand that you're inside a hotel, and you go inside the first floor of the hotel, and then you can see your partner Kim that comes to you and say, "Hey, so I'm here to help you for the murder." The what? So yes, the corpse of a hangman is over there. Did you try to do anything about it? And then you understand that you did nothing about it. You here for a week, and you are a terrible detective that did absolutely nothing, and that's the beginning of the game. And then you are going to meet a lot of characters. Every single one of them is beautifully written. To be honest, the music is absolutely fantastic, so atmospheric, and such a masterpiece. It's my favorite game of all time, to be honest. And trust me, I'm 34. I played all my life, and this is my favorite game of all time. But definitely there is a lot of, very subtle stuff, and you have to choose also, at the beginning you have to choose your skills and what exactly do you want to play. If you want to play a guy a little bit more bulky, if you want to play a guy that is a little bit of its philosopher, you want to play a clever man, and is going to have a very big impact on how you see the world around you. You can, be very clever, but don't know anything about yourself, which is actually very funny. You can be absolutely dumb as a rock, but you are very muscular, so you try to intimidate everyone around you. But it's going to also have a very big impact of how you see the world around you. You can feel the city, you can hear, that thought inside your head, and you are constantly, harassed by the voice inside your head that trying to point you to what you should do, what you may want to do, what you could not or will not do. And I think this is there is so many, very intricate little scenery that can happen here. If I cannot, sometime at some point, I just played a little bit, with the phone, the cabin phone. I can understand the phone booth. I played a little bit with the phone booth, and I accidentally called my ex-wife, and for an entire week I cried bitter tears on to sleep, because it was like one of the most hardest experience I ever had in a video game, because I was literally talking to a woman that I know doesn't love me anymore, and I was so confused, and I was feeling so guilty to put my character in this situation, because I just wanted to fuck around and see if anything funny would happen. Well, jokes on me, nothing funny happened, and I'm scarred for life now. So so
you were mentioning, sorry to cut you off again too, but just to you were also mentioning too that you said Kim was gay, right?
Kim is gay. Kim is gay because actually Harry, that's the name of the character. I'm sorry, there's a spoil here, but everyone knows that. Harry is a little bit of a bisexual king. Actually, no, not a bit. He's a very big bisexual king. And he's actually meeting people, with some type of queerness around them. And if you talk a little bit with one of them, you can actually think about queerness. And it's called the homosexual underground. And I really love the French transition for this one. The French location for this one, because in French, it looks so funny. It's like la clandestinité homosexuelle. Homosexuel in 2 words. This is absolutely hilarious. I love it. The log team is actually fantastic. The game is very funny in French. And then you can actually think about your sexuality for like 5 hours. This is a very long time in the game. 5 hours to think about your sexuality. It does nothing, but you just unlock a dialogue with Kim. You just go to him and say, I don't think I'm from the homosexual underground. And he's like, okay. Are you from the homosexual underground? And it's like, yes. And the voice inside your head is like, he's right. he's telling the truth. And I'm like, I knew it. Kim is gay. And there is also a lot of, a lot of people ship them together, and I totally agree. I understand that. And it's basically, 2 boyfriends try to solve a murder. But also, I don't really like to ship him with Kim, because I think it will destroy Kim. But I definitely ship Harry with his superior. And very funny stuff, actually. Disco Elysium now have a phone portage, and I didn't play it through, but I think it's very well done. I didn't finish it. I don't think I'm going to finish it because I have to pay, and I already have Disco Elysium on like 3 different platforms because I'm a stupid. If you want to play, it's on your phone right now, and it's more in the visual novel aspect. But honestly, if it's good, I'm going to recommend it to my mom, because my mom plays a bit on her phone, and I think it's. If more people will play Disco Elysium, the world will be a better place, honestly. And I definitely recommend the game to everyone, queer, not queer, or everything. There is so many beautiful stuff. There is so many beautiful lessons. And every time something bad happens to me in my life, I just put on Disco Elysium, and I'm crying a lot, but I also feel a little bit better after that. And I think it's one of the most fantastic games that I ever came across, the media, and I will fight for it with my life.
Amazing. Well, thank you for bringing the game this week. That was Disco Elysium. And thank you for joining us for the first time ever, Betsy. I really appreciate you coming on, and Zoe, you as well. Where can people find you both on social media?
So I have an Instagram. You can find me at xhappil, Hax, Happil, Betty. But you all can also find me on TikTok at xhappil, but Beth, because Betty was already taken. Sorry. So Beth, Beth. So yeah, this is you can see me here, and please follow me and make me famous so I can have like a cool gift from brands. I don't know. I will never leave my work because I think like being an influencer is pretty much like one circle of hell from Dante at this point. I think it's very very dangerous stuff to do, and I like my 9 to 5. But I mean, why not? I mean, this is I think this is I want to go back, like to post a little bit more, like just to try to make, because I think a lot of people doesn't know what UI is, or they know it badly. Even my parents doesn't know what I'm doing, like I'm doing this work for like 8 years now, and they have no idea what I'm doing. And I think it would be interesting just to make sure that, because it's a beautiful discipline, it's often overlooked, and it can make a game or it can break it. And I love it. I love it.
Zoe, where can people find you?
I'm not super active on social media, but I'm Zoe Elite on Blue Sky. If you want to follow me there, that's ZOELEET. And honestly, I'm probably going to be posting a lot of surgical recovery stuff over the next little bit. When I have a big project that I'm working on, I'll post a lot about it, and that's usually when I'll get a big surge in followers. But honestly, like, I'm just like looking through my Blue Sky now, and it's like, oh my gosh, some of the stuff I post is unused. But yeah, please go, by all means, make my number go up.
Thank you both again for joining me this week. I really appreciate having you both of you on. It's been really insightful, really fun, and also thank you for your takes on the payment processor situation. Thanks to your avatars for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. If you've made it this far into the episode, I really appreciate you taking the time to support queer-made content. If you want to support the show, it would be really great if you could leave a rating, review, or comment on your preferred podcast platform. I welcome you to check out the website trueavatarspodcast.com, all one word. That's trueavatarspodcast.com. You can also find the show on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the handle @TrueAvatars, all one word, and on Instagram under TrueAvatars. Importantly, if you or anyone you know is queer and involved with video games in some way, please don't be shy. I would love to hear from more queer voices in video games. Your voice is unique and valid and worth sharing with the world. And if you don't want to be on the show or know anyone is interested, but you know about a cool queer video game or a games industry story that's queer related, please let me know. The show's official email is trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. That's trueavatars.podcast@gmail.com. You can also feel free to reach out via the website or the aforementioned social media pages. Things are tough out there, and queer people need to stick together when we can. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.